Welcome to our daily reflection for this Wednesday, October 1st, the feast of St. Therese of Lisieux. And she gave us that little way, and Jesus makes the way very simple in the gospel today. He just says, follow me. So we just have to follow Jesus. He chooses the ways, he chooses the left hand, the right hand turns. And so St. Therese did such a great job of simplifying the call to discipleship, simply seeking to love Jesus in all these little ways, and then they add up to a big way when you look at the big picture. And of course, we see that today in the prophet Nehemiah. And I love the prophet, the first reading we have in Nehemiah, and then I love it with the psalm today from Psalm 137. They really match beautifully together, because Nehemiah, who's serving under the pagan king, the king, and of course he's a high steward, so he's well paid. He has a high, powerful position. He's comfortable. He's successful. He's, in a sense, powerful and influential. And yet the king, Artaxerxes, says to him, why do you look sad? And he's like, well, how can I be here, even in this nice court, when, our city lies in ruins and the gates of the temple are, destroyed. And he has a heart for Jerusalem and for the Lord. And so even though he's comfortable and successful, he is not fulfilled. He seeks not his own comfort, not his own glory, but that of the Lord's. That is the kind of character that we aspire to, right? We want to have the character of not seeking self-glorification and success, but rather to seek first the kingdom of God and the glory of God our Father. And of course, that's what Psalm 137 is all about. It's about the exile singing. And by the streams of Babylon, we sat and we wept. There's a right kind of grieving and mourning here. Why did they put aside their musical instruments, the instruments of joy and celebration? Because they are in exile and Zion is empty. And how can they sing in a foreign land? And he says, if I forget you, O Jerusalem, may my right hand wither. Nehemiah embodied that. He didn't forget the Lord and the Lord's temple, even in the midst of success and affluence. And that's one of the great dangers we know from Deuteronomy chapter 8, that affluence, wealth, and success is always a great test of a character, because it's so easy when we are successful to fill ourselves and our heart with desires for worldly satisfaction, but to give up when we have wealth and power and access to these things, to give these things up to seek something more, something greater, something far more purposeful, to seek the Lord. That is the true test of character, that Nehemiah passes that test. And the question for us is, will we pass that test? And that's the test that Jesus mentions in the gospel today. As people want to follow him, he says, look, you want to follow me, fine, but foxes have dens, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. If you want to follow me, you've got to be willing to give up earthly comfort and satisfaction. God will give you heavenly glory, but you've got to be able to make the short-term sacrifice. Are we willing to do that, and to what extent? That is the test of our heart and of our love. May the Lord bless and keep you.
This daily reflection is brought to you thanks to the generous support of the Mission Circle. Join the Mission Circle to help Catholics worldwide understand, live, and share their faith. Sign up at missioncircle.org today.